Welcome back to Jom Discuss, the news and culture show where we cover everything and anything in our world today. In this episode, we talk about American gun rights and laws. So tune in and Jom Discuss.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Jom Discuss. Today I have Kula with me
Hi.
and Asyraf.
Hello.
Hey guys, when thinking about what topic to cover this week, recently there were a lot of gun violence issues, and I was thinking like why would we want to touch on American gun rights, because we don't even live there. But clearly it's a very debatable issue. Lots of people have been posting about it. I mean, our own Malaysian friends have been posting about it, talking about it. So just to recap, the most notable one that happened this past week was, of course, the Orlando shooting. And there was also the whole Christina Grimmie thing. And in Britain, there was the shooting of Joe Cox.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I wanted to ask you guys, as an outsider, what do you think of American gun rights?
I know that it's quite terrible that a lot of people got shot, and it's quite sad, the amount of people who die both by suicide and by getting shot by other people. But can't help but, feel a certain admiration for American gun laws, even though I guess I really shouldn't. But,
What do you mean by admiration?
you have a freedom that you don't have here. Because here, I believe if you even have a knife that's longer than 6 inches, you can get arrested for 2 years. No, you can go to jail for 2 years. So I guess it's nice to see that freedom. Then plus, if there's a zombie apocalypse, at least, you have a gun in your house.
I mean,
Yeah.
for me, I think from a third party's perspective, gun laws itself, I would need to understand the function of them, because an issue right now would be accessibility on how people get to purchase guns, where they can find them, etc., etc. But also, I'm really wondering, because we don't live in a community where it's common to have firearms, So I want to understand what is the relevance, because if I have a firearm, would I engage in, say, for example, there is an encounter of a crime? Would I engage to it with my firearm? Those are the kind of things I wonder about.
Okay, so one of the key, or it's not really one of the key, it's the reason why people are so defensive of their gun laws, because of the Second Amendment in the US, which states that a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It sounds confusing as hell when you read it like that. But basically means people have the right to defend themselves with whatever they want. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why. You talk about accessibility, there's actually only a few reasons that would prohibit someone from purchasing firearms. It's either they are a felon, they're a fugitive, they are mentally ill, they are undocumented immigrants, they have been dishonorably discharged from the army, or they have renounced citizenship, domestic abusers, under restraining order, or they are unlawful drug users.
Wow.
Those are the only. Yeah, it sounds a lot, but when you think about it, especially with the Orlando shooting guy, he's not a convicted felon. That's why he could get a gun. Despite being investigated by the FBI, those cases were closed because there was not enough evidence. So it wouldn't come out on a background check when he goes to buy a gun. Do you guys think that, so from the outside looking in, do you guys think that American gun laws should be tightened?
Well, okay lah. I mean, yeah, I guess it's too loose, but it's a function of the American cultural mindset. But of course, the ideal solution in an ideal world is that we get extra mental health funding, and everyone who needs help will get help, because even the shooter at Pulse Club last week, right?
Yeah.
He had a lot of issues, and a lot of people knew about it beforehand. His wife knew about it, but I guess she had nowhere to go to. I mean, who do you go to if you think that someone you know and love is gonna commit shooting? If you don't want to go to the police, there's no one else to go to.
Well, I guess the next question is then, is more guns the answer to gun violence?
Play fire with fire.
Yeah, because
essentially.
apparently reading up online, they said that after mass shootings happen, gun sales actually increase. Because people are like, oh crap, I need to protect myself, and then they go buy
the sense
more
of
guns.
security
Yeah.
increases,
Yeah.
as they would also want to stock up them. I mean, that's true, but once you have people purchasing more guns to increase their sense of security, you would also then increase the offense of people who want to potentially commit crimes. So say, for example, I am probably aware that in my neighborhood there are more people with bearing firearms. I would then equip myself with much more dangerous firearms. Say, let's say I want to bust into a house, live with one old man or one individual with firearms, I'll probably bring a few other people with firearms. So what I'm trying to say is, you want to play fire with fire, people are going to power match much higher than what you are already trying to feel like you're secured.
But I mean, like, statistics show like that. I think up to 60%, maybe slightly more actually, of gunshot fatalities in a year are actually suicides. So I think that most people, especially most people, would buy guns in a knee-jerk reaction. I don't think they're going to use it on anyone really. I think it's one of those things that people buy just to feel better. Like, like you think you're getting fat, so you buy a treadmill but you never use it. So same thing with a gun. The same thing happens here though, like, except people invest in security systems, which I suppose is better. Honestly, I mean, I kind of guess I'd rather be shot than, sliced up, which happens a lot here.
Okay, that's how you want to go.
Yeah. But I get it lah. I mean, when self-defense has been ingrained in your culture, I mean, it's not something that's really known here in Malaysia. Like, it's not our culture to, like, defend ourselves. I think, like, Malaysian culture is quite just, like, sit there and take it. Like, whatever happens, just deal with it. We're very reactive. But I guess Americans have quite an active culture. Go out there and shoot the enemy. Don't, let him come find you.
That's how they became America, right?
Pretty much.
I think one of the biggest oppositions against gun rights is that look at UK and Australia, where they have massive gun recalls, like way back when, and they said that look at us, after we had gun recalls, the number of gun violence or number of mass shootings dropped. Like, yeah. So why hasn't America done that then? Why do you think, despite so many countries doing it, why do you think America hasn't done that?
Well, I would say I think something that Kula thought of was that it's the nature of them itself. Like, because it's already a culture to constantly equip yourself with a gun, there's not a need for them to strip off a right that has been there for so long, right?
Yeah, I feel that you need to understand the people of a country through the lens of their culture. So, Australians and people in the UK, their culture and the history of their nation is fundamentally different from the US. There aren't very many places, I would guess, that have carried out a successful revolutionary war against whoever was conquering them at the time. The US is one of those places. And the thing is that, even the British tried to take away their guns, which is like something you talk about a lot. Oh, the British tried to take our guns and it didn't work out for them. After America started existing and they were encroaching into Native American territory, especially in the Wild West, apparently it wasn't that wild, but you needed to rely on yourself. So, you needed a gun to hunt, to shoot, to protect yourself from criminals, so on.
Yeah.
So it's just like that frontier feeling, that feeling of needing to provide for yourself. That's what underlies a lot of these gun laws, and I can understand why people in a very individualistic community like America would want that.
I believe like our listeners, like Malaysians, we wouldn't really understand like the way of how things function over there. So I believe you have a much clearer picture on how things run, right? Like who follows the amendment and how do we alter it, so on and so forth.
Okay lah, I'm not going to say I have a very clear view. It's just that I have a couple friends and I've done a bit of reading. The main split there, I guess I can see, is that conservatives primarily believe that, you've got to rely on yourself. You can't really rely on the government because the government is kind of inefficient. I mean, it's a function of its size that government cannot be as efficient as individuals. So, like, if someone's, going to break into your house, if you call the cops, let's just say, like, the cops take, like, 10 minutes. Like one time my neighbor's house got broken into here and it took the cops like 2 hours to get there.
In Sunway.
No, not in Sunway, but around here lah.
Yeah, okay.
Not gonna tell people my address on air.
Oh yeah, of course,
but,
of course.
But yeah,
Wait,
so fair enough. You can't really trust the government to get there on time. Makes sense. So they're like, okay, we gotta defend ourselves. Legit argument. Whereas, people on the left wing, they tend to be like, oh, guns are bad. They do a lot more bad than they do good. We don't need guns anymore. We don't live in the Wild West. We don't need to shoot people. We have police for a reason. They're both, very sensible viewpoints. And I think the real problem here is just the partisanship. Like, everybody is going, like, all out to discredit the other side. Like, left-wingers are like, oh, no, guns give me PTSDs. People who have guns are compensating for something. And then people on the right are like, oh, people on the left just cannot control themselves. That's why they're afraid of guns. Oh, they're such wimps. if they, could be braver, they wouldn't be afraid of guns and they would understand them. The only people who are dangerous with guns are people who... No, wait, guns don't kill people, people do.
I never got the argument though. The whole like guns don't kill people, people do. Yeah, but people have guns, that's why they kill people.
Yeah, but it's basically like, it's the function of a very conservative mindset. Oh, if you aren't raised properly, then you will be the type of person who kills people again, which is true. It's just...
Leading on to the interestingly, like you would say that people would argue to bear arms because of time sensitivity, right? Like a policeman,
Yep.
like if anything happens, like if there's a burglar, a person who's approaching my house, or if you see your neighbors in distress, you would probably have more security if you could do something about it. Let's say you have firearms,
Yeah, yeah.
straight away engage with it.
In fact...
Right?
Oh, go ahead, please.
Then where do you draw the line of authority? Like, say a policeman comes, they capture the guy, then he, sentence, etc., followed by the laws. But if, say, a person engages with a gun with no experience in the field, and the likeliness, or let's say a possibility of that person killing the robber, would that be justified?
It's actually... There's a law for it in Texas. In fact, if someone's on your property and you're like they're trying to break in or whatever, and you feel they're a threat to you, you can actually kill them.
Oh, wow.
It's called like a civilian arrest or something like that, right?
No, it's not an arrest. You kill them.
Oh, okay.
I think it's kingdom law, personal domain law. It's something along those lines. But yeah, if someone comes into your house in Texas and you have a gun and they're threatening you, you can shoot them. No legal repercussions. In other places, it's still like a thorny issue being argued about. But
Okay.
honestly, I mean, if I could get a gun, I probably would. I know there's like a huge fetishization of gun culture. But it's if you trust yourself, which is I guess a very conservative argument. I don't consider myself a conservative, but I can understand why they believe the things they believe. Because you hear all these horrible things and you figure like, okay lah, just keep like a gun in my bedroom or something. So if like some guy comes in and tries to like harm my family, at least I have a way.
Yeah.
I can understand that. I think, okay, so going back to the whole like left and right thing, how they're so partisan, right? There has to be like a middle ground lah. Like clearest examples is a cooling off period. Why is it so hard to implement a cooling off period into buying a gun? Like I was reading online, and apparently to buy a handgun you have to wait like 3 days in Florida lah, cause that's what all the news are coming out. Then to buy an assault rifle, there's no waiting period, which didn't make sense to me lah. In comparison to Australia, where I think the cooling off period is a month. Because to make sure that like, oh, okay, so you want to buy a gun, are you sure about this? It's not a knee-jerk reaction, blah, 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 that kind of thing. That's just one of the examples of how it could be made better, which is probably where I stand lah. Like, I see why Americans are very defensive of their gun rights. I just don't see why it's so easy for them to get guns. There's a joke, there's like, not really a joke, but like, there are people saying online, like, it's almost as common to see a gun store as it is to see like a Starbucks or McDonald's.
I see.
Yeah.
So your solution is to probably just tightening security.
Yeah. Like, not take away guns entirely, like what most liberals want, but like, just to make it harder.
Yeah, I mean, if you're speaking like prospectively, it would be difficult to accept to take away guns.
Yeah. If you
Yeah.
distrust your government's like, oh, we're gonna limit how
That's
people
true,
can buy
yeah.
guns. I'm pretty sure most people are just like, whoop, time to buy
Yeah.
all the guns I can
Yeah,
before this goes into effect.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then of course there's the argument of like, if you make it harder for people to get guns, but then like people who get guns illegally will still be having guns, and then we won't have anything to defend ourselves, things like that.
But I feel that if guns were illegal, a lot of people who end up being shooters, people without criminal connections, who tend to have like some mental health issues, or they're very bullied in school, or like typical shooter profile that most people try and make. I feel that these people would not be able to shoot because they don't have the criminal connections necessary to buy a gun. Yes, the actual criminals would have guns, but I think that people who become public shooters would not. So I guess in a way, not having guns is helpful.
So would you trust lawful authorities to then just carry handguns or guns?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I feel they need to. I know that certain countries, the cops don't carry weapons. I understand why like a cop would want a gun. Because you're getting paid horribly. You have to go into dangerous situations, and then like people are like, oh no, you can't carry a gun.
Yeah. Okay, so Kula, you were saying earlier about Clinton was supporting this thing called the Brady Bill, right? Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. Okay, I believe the name of it was the Brady Bill. But basically what it is, it's a bill that allows you, let's just say if someone like a family member was a victim of gun violence, you can sue the manufacturer of the gun company. So Clinton supports it, Sanders is against it. Clinton is like, oh, Sanders, you gun nut. And then Sanders was like, this just doesn't make sense. What
On the
would-"
surface, it makes no sense. Like, why would you want to
Yeah,
go after the people that make the guns, right?
because, okay, lah. I mean, I'm guessing this is their logic, is that if you sue the manufacturer will take extra steps to make sure that the sales of guns only happens to reputable people who won't go shoot someone just because they don't want to get sued. It's a bit of a leap of logic there, but I guess that's the logic, lah.
I mean, it's like saying gangsterism is happening in your school, but then you want the Ministry of Education to take care of it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, if they are
Right.
gangsters, we will sue the Ministry of Education.
So then they would then make sure the people below them are more reliant on their jobs.
Yeah.
I guess so. That is a line of logic, but I wouldn't think when it comes to guns, it should be applicable.
Okay, so we're running out of time. If you're like us, who are Malaysians who've we're not part of the American community, so let us know what you think of Americans like defense, or why they are so defensive of their gun rights. If you have American friends or you get the chance to go to America, I encourage you to talk to them, ask, like try and find out the culture that is there. What do you think about all this? Do you think gun laws should be tightened, or do you think guns should be like get rid of entirely, or do you think it should be left the way it is?
Oh yeah, and then add on. Do you think like the Orlando shooting, the fault was that people were not allowed to have handguns, or that security was not good at filtering the people who were entering?
Till next time, I'm Keith.
Ashraf.
Kula.
Thank you for listening. See you guys. Bye.
Charles.